morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Kyle Bauer visits with Dr. Martin Draper, Department Head of the Plant Pathology Department at K-State. Then enjoy this week's Kansas soybean update. Next, Dwayne Taves and Sarah Sexton Bowser visit about improvements to sorghum. And then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk with Kyle and Dwayne. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first, Kyle Bauer and Dr. Martin Draper discuss the Department of Plant Pathology at KSU.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Dr. Martin Draper, and he is head of the Plant Pathology Department. Of course, that is in the College of Agriculture at Kansas State University. Let's talk about, at first here, Doctor, about the Plant Pathology Department as far as an overview.
Sure. So plant pathology we think of as the science where we're protecting our food supply, our fiber supply, from diseases. So it's separate from entomology. We're not concerned about insect pests. We're concerned about plant health and the bacteria, fungi, nematodes, and other organisms that can actually cause specific diseases. So just like you and I get diseases, our pets get diseases, our livestock get diseases, those same kinds of organisms can cause diseases on plants. We want to make sure that there is a food supply available that's not being compromised by these organisms.
Well, certainly at Kansas State, you may not be unique, but you're certainly part of a minority. You don't have undergraduate students.
Right. So I believe we're the only department in the College of Agriculture that does not have an undergraduate program, but we do have a large graduate teaching program and a large research program that receives grant funding from a number of diverse sources.
So those grad students, they come from probably all over the world.
Absolutely. About half of our graduate student population is international, with representation from Asia and South America. We certainly have a contingent that comes from the U.S. as well. A small part of that group comes from Kansas, but we have them coming from all over the country to our program.
From what you've described to me, your funding probably is not dependent on the number of students that you have enrolled.
Well, actually, the number of students that we have enrolled is dependent on our funding. So when we look at the grants that come in, those grants support those students through assistantships and will help determine how many students a particular professor might have in their program. And as I mentioned, that we do get a lot of grants, and we're a highly ranked department. The last time there was a ranking of plant pathology departments in 2013, we were the top ranked department in the country. So we know that that's not necessarily the case now. We've had some retirements, we've had some faculty that have departed, and we're in the process of building the department back up to being a strong, full spectrum plant pathology department again.
And where do those grants come from?
Well, they come from all over the place. There are certainly commodity grants from soybeans, from wheat. We have grants that are coming from Kansas Department of Agriculture, from the National Science Foundation, from the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture, a place that I used to work. And so it's probably the biggest source of funds that come into the department.
We're visiting with Dr. Marty Draper. He is the head of the Plant Pathology Department at Kansas State University. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas soybean update.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Sherry Seifert, Kansas Soybean Commission's educational consultant, joins us. And Sherry, you were one of the judges at this year's Invent a Heart Healthy Food competition at the Kansas State Fair. What is the competition all about?
Well, it's to educate people on the use of soy foods and the nutritional part of it, and let them know that there is a lot of protein in our soy foods, so that they can they need to substitute some extra protein into anything in their foods for people. Why, there's an easy way to do that, and it's a very nutritional use of food.
You know, this contest sponsored by the Kansas Soybean Commission has really grown here the past several years.
Yes, it has. We keep having more entries each year.
Let's talk about the winners.
Yes, we had some really nice items this year. The ice cream part of it was really neat. That was the first time we'd had any of that. And it was very tasty, and it was something that was done very easily, and you could just put it in your pan and stick it in your refrigerator, and it was very neat.
You also had a cool, crunchy soy wrap that was one of the winners?
Yes, it was. Very easy to make and very, very tasty and really very nutritious, and it would fit into anybody's diet.
And for those of you who like salsa, one of your other winners was an edamame corn salsa.
Yes, nobody turns down a salsa, and that was delicious.
Now, when you're judging this, you're looking for soy products, but that really goes into several different categories.
There's lots of things that you can use for your soy products. Of course, there's soy vegetable oil. It's 100% soybean oil. And you've got your soy butter, which is like a peanut butter, but only it's made from soybeans. Tofu is a good source, which is used a lot. And then your margarines are made with soy. So there's easy ways out there to get your soy incorporated into your food. And we do it every day.
Bringing it back to the forefront, very important in this case.
And so we just need to actually read our labels and see what we're using, but many more people could get involved with this. And then, of course, edamame is a high source because it's a soybean. And then you've got your regular soybeans that you can get that are canned. You can use in salads. Some of them make hummus out of it, and just different things. And you can add tofu to anything and make it rich in protein. Don't get any flavor of the tofu because it picks up the taste of the food that you put it in.
That is Sherry Seifert, Kansas Soybean Commission's educational consultant, who joins us as she was one of this year's judges at the Invent a Heart Healthy Food competition at the Kansas State Fair. This has been the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more as Dwayne visits with Sarah Sexton Bowser with the Center for Sorghum Improvement.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.
This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Dwayne and Sarah discuss sorghum.
Dwayne Thames joining him once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Sarah Sexton Bowser with the Sorghum Improvement Center at Kansas State University. And Sarah, we think about grain sorghum, a lot of positive things that are going on within the industry, and new uses and applications continue to be at the forefront.
Exactly. I work for the Center for Sorghum Improvement, a collaborative platform for farmer partnership and investment in the sorghum research pipeline. And what we're orienting towards is really connecting all enhancements for sorghum towards market value applications. And so how do we exploit the vast diversity? There's over 40 different accessions within sorghum, and so much is left untapped that we really need to access and capitalize on to make sorghum more advantageous for our end users and grow markets. As we talk with farmers out in the countryside, there's a hunger for new applications, for value-based applications, whether that be in the food industry, pet food industry. We had conversations on here this morning, cattle industry, ethanol, etc. And so really looking at exploiting sorghum, filling up that investment platform so farmers can see derivatives of that research back at their farm level.
We think about the ultimate goal is profitability for those growers to maintain the crop and maintain our farming operations. And that ultimate goal, there's a lot of ways to get there.
There is, and so when we look at sorghum, sorghum is what we categorize as an ancient grain. It's been a while. Farmers know it often as milo in their fields. And so how do we start to think about new and novel applications for the grain? We have a project looking at enhancing certain properties, protein properties of sorghum for the swine industry, and doing feeding trials of existing sorghum material out there that already has that built into it, and so seeing if we can prove out and provide value, high value outcomes for swine feeders, so in turn they can share back those opportunities and create a more robust market for farmers within regions of that. So that's an example of projects. Also looking at biological and animal and human health outcomes. So sorghum has all these cool things that we hear about in blueberries and wine and coffee, antioxidants, phenolic compounds, and so what can we do to concentrate and extrapolate those properties in sorghum and create high value market streams?
Obviously, we think about the diversity of the crop, and it fits so well here in the Central Plains.
Sorghum's certainly a resilient crop, and so as we capitalize on that, how do we make sure that sorghum is highly adapted within the cropping system and fits well when we look at water challenges and how sorghum can hold on during periods of stress for a longer period of time and really take advantage of rain and make sure that we are producing bushels across each acre and have productivity out there. And so looking to further enhance those projects. Kansas Grain Sorghum Commission has a suite of projects looking at cold tolerance and what we can do to enhance the crop from a cold tolerance stance to give farmers a greater management opportunities.
And as you lead that Center for Sorghum Improvement, really it's kind of a collaborative group that all ties that together for the good of the industry.
It is. That's the novel approach that the Collaborative Center provides. So it provides an opportunity for private companies to invest. Sorghum farmers are at the table with their in-field lens and viewpoint and priorities, pushing the research, and then the university, Kansas State University, is a partner in establishing the program. And so really bringing the players to the table to make a meaningful difference. So we're not just creating new and novel science that sits on the shelf, and we're not just having farmers sit around a coffee table and say, well, I wish someone would do this. I wish someone would invest in create research capacities in this area. We're creating the entire stream of players around the table and a collaborative platform to make a meaningful difference in the field.
Our thanks to Sarah Sexton Bowser with the Center for Sorghum Improvement at Kansas State University, joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
AFBF used comments from Farm Bureau members to submit suggestions for regulatory reform to USDA as part of the agency's efforts to implement the President's regulatory reform agenda. Paul Schlegel, AFBF's Director of Environment and Energy Policy, says overregulation by federal agencies is burdensome to all of agriculture.
It's hard to look at it nationally and say there's X amount of dollars, but it's significant. It runs from environment to natural resources to labor to endangered species. There's a whole range of things. And it is widespread and it takes place everywhere.
For example, he says regulatory creep has chipped away at the exemptions for normal farming practices under the Clean Water Rule.
How an agency would determine what is normal can affect whether you're exempt or not. So if you're changing from one crop to another, an agency might say they don't consider that normal. Those things have the effect of making farmers subject to regulation, whereas Congress has said they shouldn't be.
USDA will continue to accept comments over the next year. Schlegel says this is a good opportunity to ease the overregulation burden on farmers and ranchers.
Unfortunately, it's a long list of challenges, but we're grateful for the opportunity we have. On Capitol Hill, there's legislation we're pushing, and in the arena downtown at EPA, at USDA, at Department of Interior, we're trying to get them to focus on things and make some changes.
Michael Clements, Washington.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Dwayne are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Dwayne Taves.
Kyle Bauer, your fact or fiction question of the day. Former CIA agents agree that technology has made spying more difficult and not easier, as the movies portray. Fact or fiction?
Well, certainly there would be more things that they could jam things with, but boy, there's a lot of really good technology. You just watch any spy movie and you see all kinds of neat things. I'll go with fiction.
It's true.
Oh, come on.
The advent of advanced tracking technology and access to the internet's made it almost impossible for agents and spies to maintain a secret identity.
Oh, for themselves, not to follow someone else. But
made spying more difficult. I would have thought maybe that because of the vast amount of information, there's so much to process. Now, granted, the computers can dig through that for you, but just because of the amount of information to dig through, it's like, okay, I'm not saying Big Brother's listening or reading your text messages.
But let's whisper just in case.
Yeah. Say you have the word bomb in a text message to a friend.
Geez, we're going to get canceled. Now you've said that.
I'm just saying as an example.
All right.
Yeah. That could flag somewhere, and it could be, and it's likely if it were you or me. It's like, well, did you pick up a can of Fly Bomb at the hardware store or the feed store?
Right.
And they're like, bomb? Yeah, well, bomb has a number of different meanings. This would be a can of spray to kill flies.
I read a book. I am reading a series of books that this guy, it's two clandestine people that have different adventures. I don't suppose they would like me calling them adventures, but assignments.
Maybe not.
Assignments. But one of the things came out among terrorists around the world because of exactly what you're talking about now. They do most of their communicating over blogs.
Oh, really?
Public blogs. Like, for instance, Barbecuers of America blog or something like that. And they have a code that if they sign in as Bobby Barbecue from Morganville, Kansas, and that they know to read Bobby Barbecue's message, and you read between the lines, right? And that's how they're doing most of their communicating now because of exactly what you said.
Everything is being watched.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.